Sie hören Sport und Musik.
It's John Brooks for the USA! Das Spiel ist aus! Deutschland ist Weltmeister!
In a world where fans fight over whether to call it football, or soccer, two German men defy the odds and call it Fußball. Bringing you inside the German-American football experience. And now, here are your hosts, the Schnitzel Boys.
That's right, we just teleported across the pond. Jetzt sind wir zurück in Deutschland. Deutsches Fußball ist zurück.
Der deutsche Fußball, Bundesliga. Bundesliga starts this weekend.
This weekend, wir hatten ein bisschen Schade mit den deutschen Frauen. Die haben verloren.
Wir haben ein bisschen Schade, wir hatten etwas Pech. Wir hatten Pech.
Wir hatten Pech gehabt.
Pech gehabt mit den deutschen Frauen. Yeah,
we're
going to do this entire podcast in German tonight.
Well, I'm going to Germany soon, so I have to get my German.
Oh, so you need to get your chops up?
Ich muss proben.
Üben.
Üben. What is proben? Does that mean practice?
Proben is more rehearsing.
Oh, I need to rehearse my English. Yeah.
Well, yeah, except that you don't say that.
No, I hear you. Ich muss mein Deutsch üben.
Üben, exactly.
You know what I get wrong all the time? I say Sie to my family and I say Du to strangers all the time.
Oh, okay.
Which is such a weird German thing.
Yeah.
German has a thing where
you can say you to me. It's
like a way to say you to strangers and a way to say you to friends.
Yeah, there's a formal.
Two different words.
This is not just true. Other like French has this and Spanish. You just use a different verb form if you just met somebody. Like if you versus children or friends and family has a more familiar form of the verb. And then in Germany, there's if you are if you're getting to know somebody, this is a formal thing that people do, usually with alcohol, and it's called Brüderschaft trinken.
Oh,
I think
brotherhood drinking.
Basically, you're drinking. It's like a sort of less severe version of becoming a blood brother, I guess. You're not exchanging bodily fluids, but you say, "Okay, we're going to drink." Basically, we're going to formalize our relationship having become close enough for us to switch. We're not going to use the formal address to each other, but the more casual address, and we're going to celebrate this by having a drink together. It's kind of a nice thing.
That is cool. I didn't know that.
A nice thing where people sort of are like, yeah, our relationship is so it's
a choice.
Yeah, somebody offers. I guess depends on. I guess it can be awkward if.
So it's like the third time you're seeing a person, like a guy or something, and you're like, "Hey, let's go for a Bruderschaft."
Oh, it's more. It's. I think your average German takes longer than 3 meetings. This is like after you've.
Not me.
You're ready to.
I'm ready to go right away.
You're ready to integrate to welcome people into your family. No, this is. No. I mean, I guess this depends. But no, I think this takes longer. This is like, after you've known somebody for a while and you're like, okay, it no longer seems appropriate for us to use this formal address. So let's change it. Or perhaps, if you are if you have new family or your children are getting married or whatever. Yeah, there's like this process where you then change the you address somebody differently. That is a thing.
That's really cool. Now I'm glad to see. I learned. Maybe I'll do that when I'm there. I'll figure it out. And I mentioned. So speaking of formal things and formality, I went to the opening week, I think, or one of the first gigs of the new national tour of Les Miserables.
Right. You were telling me, yes.
Les Mis, epic show at a beautiful theater right here in Hollywood Boulevard, the RKO Pantages. And Daniel Young, we'll get to Harry Kane soon.
Oh, we're going to talk about Harry
story.
Kane. Don't worry.
We're vamping a little bit because we have, I'm just vamping a little bit.
Well, we don't.
This is Germany related.
Just to throw this in here, we're not gonna do a season preview. Bayern is gonna win the league again. The end.
Well,
it's like we know what's gonna happen. We've been lulled into this. We've been lulled into this illusion of competitiveness. Other teams that are supposed to be good. You read these previews. Hope springs eternal. We know what's gonna happen. Bayern's gonna win. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Les Mis.
Bayer Leverkusen's always like, hey, watch out for them. And it's like, never watch out for them. They're never to be watched out for. Anyway,
if we're wrong, we're wrong. We'll deal with it later. But for now, this is it. This is our season preview. Bayern's going to win the title.
So at the USA Hour, we're Americans. Americans are about like, heck yeah, greatest sum of all your parts. Do it. That's the American spirit. German spirit, on the other hand, is nah. It's practicality. It's like Bayern Hut just won 11 seasons in a row. They're going to win a 12th season in a row. Okay.
No, but my thing, like last season was the season. If Dortmund couldn't do it then, they're never going to do it. That's what I took away from last year. So until proven otherwise, that's what I'm sticking with.
I will challenge you on that in a second, but first,
all right. No, please. I'm sorry to interrupt this story.
So I'm at Les Mis, right? Crushing it, right? One day more. At the very end, hear the people sing.
I've seen it a long time ago. I am a musical lover, but it did not leave. I don't remember much of it.
Well, I highly recommend if it's ever back on Broadway again,
I should give it another shot.
It's one of the greatest Broadway epics because of yada. Anyway, great show. So I'm leaving the theater. You're at theater, and it's theater, so you dress up. People don't dress up now the way they used to dress up, like in Batman's day, when you dress up in full tuxedos and stuff like that.
Batman's day. When was that exactly?
That was back in the day. It's back in the day. Back when Batman was a kid. He's an adult now.
What year was that again?
That would have been the 30s or the 50s or the 80s. It depends on what version of Batman you're talking about. But when Batman was a kid, him and his parents went to the opera in full tuxedo gear. And what show were they watching, Bjorn? A little Batman trivia. It's a German show.
Der Rosenkavalier?
No, Der Fledermaus.
Ah, right.
Fledermaus, German for the bat, right?
Oh, of course. Oh, stupid me.
Anyway, Batman's an adult now. So things are more modern now. You can go to the theater in a button-up and jeans or whatever.
Okay.
There was a famous story in New York a few years ago of some schmuck going on stage before the show to plug his phone in to charge on the set's electric plug. It was like, there's a plug. And they had to be like, sir, get off the stage.
This is not here for you.
So, but anyway,
I mean, it is here for you, but not in that way.
Not in that way. Yeah. Anyway, so as I was exiting the theater, most people were dressed in nice button-ups and so forth. But one man walked right next to me on the way out. He had bright purple hair, jeans, I think headphones on or something. Like he was on the subway. It was crazy. And he was with his girlfriend who was dressed very similar. And he was wearing a Borussia Mönchengladbach jersey.
Amazing.
So I was at Les Mis, and I was like, what a perfect preview for the Bundesliga season. We got the fans are coming out. The Gladbach fans are out watching Les Mis.
He needs to represent. Was this? Did you get any? Did you get any info? No.
Nah, I should have. Him and I would have been best friends. Like I would have had that Bruderschaft drink with him that day.
I mean, I think you will need to be contained when it comes to that. I think you will. You know.
All my tissues are stem tissues.
Let it happen. Organically.
Right.
Well, don't force yourself. Don't force yourself on Germans.
I go. You're wearing a Bundesliga jersey at a musical.
Oh, let's drink.
You and I
let's drink Bruderschaft.
Bruderschaft. But anyway, so I just thought that was a fun little thing. We're back. We got Gladbach. So we got. All right. So let's start the top. Work our way down. Right. I talked to a Borussia Dortmund fan, so I can echo some of his sentiments. There was some really exciting news with Union Berlin today. We'll talk about that in a bit.
Mhm.
But first and foremost, let's talk the big boys. When
Harry
German
Kane.
soccer for the world boils down to one thing, it's usually Bayern München. And this summer, Bayern München, it's Harry Kane. After
Harry
all
Kane
season
watch.
long, back and forth, Uli Hoeneß versus Daniel Levy, English versus German, hard head going back and forth each other. They finally did it. Harry Kane was signed for 110 million euros plus incentives, and he is now a Bayern München player. And he landed, and then I think the next day played the League
Immediately
Cup
came
game.
off the bench, and looked lost. Looked completely lost.
Was he the only one that looked lost in that game?
I mean, no, this whole game was they got creamed by RB Leipzig.
That's right. Danny Olmo got a hat trick.
Danny
Great
Olmo
game.
and Xabi Simons looked quite lively as their sort of new midfield signing. It seemed like they've made good. I mean, they lost a lot of talent. Szoboszlai to Liverpool, Guardiola to Man City, a lot of like big money, but it looks like they found some good replacements, and so that was a pretty comprehensive destruction of Bayern. And then it was already down. They were already down 2 when Harry Kane came off the bench, so it wasn't like
Kane.
it's not like Kane.
Harald Kane, Sadio Mane, Leroy Sané, Harald Kane.
Oh, Harald Kane. Okay. I'm down with calling him that. Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes. I think this was sort of inevitable. I think they're sort of a match made in heaven. I think personality-wise, Harry Kane and Bayern match perfectly. That's probably why they went after him so hard. But yeah, I mean,
they need to mesh. The bigger topic. So first and foremost, RB Leipzig, they high press. They're playing better with Marco Rose already in his position for more than a season now. And RB Leipzig, in typical RB fashion, in typical Germany fashion, are scouting experts. Because time and time again, RB Leipzig starts the career of a great player. You know, it's like Angelino and Szoboszlai and Guardiola. Like, that's their coming out party. And then when they go to bigger pastures, like your Liverpool, like your Man City, or like Konrad Leimer to Bayern München, RB Leipzig's got some new no-name ready to go up next. And they'll be the next in a season or two. They're the ones who are then going to go to Man City and Liverpool and Bayern München. So RB Leipzig on point again with their new faces, and Bayern München under what was the guy's name? The guy with the bad jack, Julian Nagelsmann. Under Julian Nagelsmann, first
gone and almost forgotten. Yeah,
Julian Nagelsmann's first 11 games, I think, were 10 wins and 1 loss. Thomas Tuchel's first 11 games are 6 wins and 5 losses, I think. So the Thomas Tuchel. So we got Thomas Tuchel, we got Harry Kane. We have that guy that they signed from Napoli. What's his name? Let me look him up. That's also the other big.
Kim. The center back. Yeah, he looked quite good, I thought.
He is. Well, he came off the bench, didn't he? He didn't start, did he?
He played for a lot of it. I was not like. Yeah, I was watching.
They got rid of Jan Sommer. Jan Sommer went to Inter Milan.
Yeah, they're kind of looking for a goalie, right? I don't think. I mean, listen. I said this. I somewhat facetiously said that there is no, Bayern's going to win the league. I mean, there's certainly on indications of trouble here, wherever you look. Unfortunately, historically, the other teams haven't been able to take advantage. But it's not looking like. I mean, this has to be a weird. You were saying last week how they only give like 1-year contracts to older players. Like this has to throw off the dynamic of the team, this Harry Kane situation. And if he's not really amazing pretty quickly, this could be
Sadio Mane 2.0. Sadio Mane was the big amazing player last summer. My big thing is they got rid of Kahn and Brazzo. It was all about Kahn and Brazzo, just this all off-field drama. And they got fired for their perfect record. which I guess I'm in the minority when I say that's bonkers. And like Kahn and Bratzo are gone. They brought in Uli Hoeneß again, who's old. I mean, I don't know. So Uli Hoeneß is like, this should be my club. And to me, that's becoming a problem. I don't think that's been solved. Uli Hoeneß came in, fired Kahn and Bratzo, which are fan favorites, got some other CEO to come in, some no-name than him, and it's just him. He wants to be his club. And it's like, it's a modern game of football. And all he did after a few years saying no player is worth $100 million, he said that in 2017, he spent $100 million on an Englishman named Harry Kane, who's 30, by the way. He's 30 years old. Not as old as I thought, but still not a spring chicken. He's just turned 30. He's now starting the wrong side of 30. And I'm just like, okay, this seems like shouldn't they have signed a younger dude for the future? I don't know. It's a little more 90s. It's like a 90s move to me.
Well, I mean, they feel like they didn't replace Lewandowski really last season.
No.
They had Chuba and I guess they felt like this is what they needed. They need I mean, on paper, whatever, like the financials, it's 100 million. It's sort of abstract. It's like, it's not my money. I don't know if they have it to spend, then more power to them. I think, is anyone worth that? Whatever, we'll find out. But like, he's a good fit for this team. He's a great finisher. He's a creator. He's
a like-for-like replacement of Lewandowski.
Well, but I think it potentially could even bring something extra, because he's also a very good hold-up player, and he, with the wingers they have, the Zanés and the Gnabry's, etc. I think he could open up a lot of space for them. Like, I understand why this is why they were so hot on him, because there's not that many people like that out there, like that are these right. Top. I mean, he's like a top 3 striker in the world,
something like that. Like, yeah, it's Harry Kane, it's Kylian Mbappe, who was
who's is a little different, and like, well, but he's also more of a winger, maybe, like it's a different, but
Lewandowski, who they lost, Erling Haaland, who went up to Man City. Yeah, it's not, but that's also on you to create a player. I don't know. But I'm not against the signing. I think it's great. I'm excited. I want to see Harry Kane. I'm excited about it. But overall, it's not about the names. It's about the gelling. And my thoughts on Thomas Tuchel. I think he's a fraud. And he's yelling and he's angry and he's saying a bunch of crap. He blamed he threw all the players under the bus after the game last week. And it's like, Thomas Tuchel, your days are numbered already. So the off-field drama of Bayern München is continuing.
I mean, I like Tuchel, but this is a big, it's a high risk move. Like, there's no excuses. This is, if they don't perform, then there's gonna be trouble very quickly.
But riddle me this: it's all about the Champions League, right? It has to be, because they had the quality to win the league last year, and what happened? Their executive staff got fired. And they spent millions of dollars on new players.
Well, they won the league because Dortmund choked. They should have lost the league.
True, but they still won the league. So, and they won. It was the double, right? Did they? No, Leipzig won.
No, Leipzig.
Right? They won the league. But like, I don't know. Bayern München is a drama to be seen. Robert Lewandowski was only affected because Thomas Müller was his backup. Thomas Müller is not playing as much as he used to. It's how is Harry Kane going to deal with Gnabry and Sané and Musiala? Can the four of them figure it out? Which they should be able to. They're a smart player. I'd like to see that. But that's what I'm looking at, is can the four of them get along? That's what we're looking at. Sadio Mane didn't gel last year. Him and Leroy Sané did not get along.
That's still such a. I mean, I think time will tell, right? We're going to find out whose fault this was, really. Like, is Sadio Mane the problem, or is this team? Is there something wrong with this particular iteration of Bayern Munich? We'll see.
Yeah, FC Hollywood, full steam ahead. But that's Bayern, still high favorites to win, of course.
Daniel Young was asking, Hans Wolf left us. He's going to see a movie. We'll
Sounds of Freedom.
The Sounds of Freedom.
QAnon movie or whatever it was.
With Jim
Caviezel.
Oh, the one with the
You-
okay.
About trafficking or something. Let us know how it is, Huntsville.
Let us know how it is.
Chris,
I'm
that's
interested
nice of
too,
Omar.
actually,
Yeah.
in knowing more about that. I heard that a lot of people. Well, anyway, whatever. And Daniel Young would like to know how to get to the stadium. I think you should, Daniel Young, stay tuned because Hans Wolf had a bus going. I think
Right.
he was organizing a bus that was going to that game, and I'm gonna try and get in on that, and hopefully you can too.
Yeah, Huntsville, if you are coordinating something like that and you do want to make it public, email us the info and we can make it public for you if you want to get signed. I don't know how it works.
Or if you don't want to make it public, we could
let us know.
also find
We'll stop
ways
talking
to
about it.
communicate this discreetly. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's balls in your court, Huntsville. But yeah, getting to Hartford, you've been to Hartford before. Like I would imagine, I've been to Hartford before, and I took a very cheap, like $15 Dollarflix bus, whatever they were called, right from Penn Station to Hartford and back. That's probably an option, right? I don't know about the train situation.
I mean, that stadium is pretty out there. I don't know. That's going to be. I think if you can get in on this bus situation, I think that's probably the best way.
Yeah, I remember the old days when there were free bus shuttles from Brooklyn to Red Bull Arena and back to watch the games.
Wow,
the good old days. That'd be something they can reintroduce to bring some fans out there. But anywho, good luck on your travels to the UConn Stadium, Hartford. It's at Rentschler Field.
Yeah,
I guess it's a UConn Stadium, right?
I don't think it is. It. I don't know. Actually, I don't know.
I
don't think so. Actually, but I could be wrong.
I'm going to a Bayern München Darmstadt Bundesliga game.
Oh, that's going to be exciting.
It'll be a lot of fun. I don't know how to buy. Every club is different in Germany. It's not like league wide, like here in MLS. Every club has their own policies and apps and whatnot. And over the summer, I sent in a request for tickets or something. I got an email being like, request received, and I haven't heard anything since. I have no idea what the deal with that is. Maybe I'll get an email a week before the game. I don't know how that works. So I went on Viagogo, a third-party ticket site, and just bought it that way.
Ooh.
And I paid over $100 for a nosebleed seat, which is common here in the States. I figure I'd bite the bullet just to be like, I'm pre-planning. I need to have a ticket. I don't want to improvise that one. I want to know I'm in town that weekend. I think it's the only Bayern München game while I'm there. I want to go to a game. So, but I'm sure if I bought it straight from the club, it would have been a fraction of that price because Bundesliga games tend not to be over $100. Maybe Bayern München's an exception. I don't know. That's what I paid.
Well, Bayern München, those tickets are hard to get. They do sell out.
That's why I had. But the thing is, I put in a request, and if I bought a third party ticket, that means someone already got their tickets, right? Maybe it's some of the Dauerkarte or something.
Yeah.
Or it's a scam, and I just gave my money to no one who has tickets. But also, while I believe Borussia Dortmund will be playing a Champions League game while I'm there, and I would like to go to whatever that Champions League game is, but that's something I do have to wait on because the schedule has not been released yet, I don't think, as we're still finalizing the things. But anyway, I talked to my Borussia Dortmund friend who was supposed to come on last night, but he couldn't make it because he lives in New Jersey, and he had a big power outage. He lost power for the day. Rolling blackouts, which is weird. Oh. I told him, you're now without Bellingham. As RB Leipzig loses their big players, Borussia Dortmund is a little more hit or miss on replacing their big players. Granted, without Haaland, they had a more successful season, but that was a lot of because of Jude Bellingham. Now Jude Bellingham is gone, crushing it up over at Real Madrid. And I asked him, how do you feel about that? Because they got Zabitzer and so forth. He's like, he's really, really excited. And he actually thinks the Bellingham sale is not a terrible thing because the club will play more like a team. Because, who's the star at Borussia Dortmund right now? There is none. There's just a group of folk, right? There's Adeyemi, there's Wolf, there's Zabitzer. Emre Can is going to wear the captain's band this season. He got the captain band if he's in shape. Niklas Süle back. Maybe Schlotterbeck get his butt back in good form again. There's no big star. There's just a group of folks we know. Gio Reyna, hopefully he can stay healthy, knock on wood. He's injured as of right now. But he believes they're going to play.
Jude Bellingham has held them back.
I'm speaking for him, I guess. He says it was Haaland plus 10, and then it was Bellingham plus 10. Now it's not. Now that's not the case. Now it's like 11 players. That's his being very optimistic. And I was like, all right, I'll bite. Right. I think Zabitzer was a great get. He's one of those players who Bayern München and Manchester United. He excelled at Leipzig, but at Bayern and Man United, he kind of is lost in big clubs like that, and he has to go somewhere where he can play again. A nice reclamation project that a club like Dortmund can sign. Moukoko, maybe he can get off and running again. And Aller is healthy right from the get-go. And, things are looking okay. They had I know that the results don't matter, but they had a really great tour in the U.S. Who'd they beat? They beat the San Diego Loyal, no problemo. But
then they're definitely
that's not that big of a deal.
That's it.
But
Stop the press, this guy. You heard it here first. I was wrong.
But then they beat Man United and AC Milan, right? Or no, Chelsea. Or who'd they beat? They beat Man United and Chelsea. I know they're friendly.
Doesn't matter. This doesn't.
I know, but they looked.
Listen, I'm not okay. This sounds to me like this is like preseason talk where everybody's at 0. Your hope springs eternal. You're like, oh, we're much better. Addition by subtraction. We lost our best player. Now we're going to be better. I don't know. I heard somebody say that about Spurs on the radio at the Premier League. Paul Parker, actually former Man United player, was making the case that Spurs would be better without Harry Kane. I don't know. Maybe.
Who knows?
Who knows? But I'm not sure. I think that could happen, but maybe also could not happen. We'll see. I don't know. The same with Bochum. Bochum have kept all their players. They've gotten some new signings, and there's talk of like being multidimensional and not just having one plan and not being. I don't know. That could be true, or it could be the kiss of death, and we're gonna. Go down in
finally
flames.
Go down again. Sure. One last thing on Dortmund. Their last competitive game was the game they choked against Mainz, right? The 2-2 choke. And Edin Terzic, who was on ESPN FC this summer, pretty much his response to that, the big thing with Borussia Dortmund is their mentality. They're like, we don't want to forget that. We want to remember that. And we want to we want to know how close that was, how much that hurt, and we want that to fuel our next season. So there's a psychological aspect to that that's worth watching at Borussia Dortmund. So that's the Borussia Dortmund watch. It's like, are they a hardened, chiseled team that is whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger, or are they just a generally weaker team and they're going to make less points this year, like a mathematician?
We'll we will find out. I mean, I don't really buy the addition by subtraction concept. In general, I think more often than not, that's not how it works.
Well, look at their team with Haaland versus without Haaland. Who was the better team? Who had the better season?
But I mean, okay, yeah.
I mean, I'm just to be devil's advocate,
No, he could be right. I'm not saying he's wrong. Obviously, we don't know. But the beauty, that's the beauty of this stuff. Once they start playing games, then you'll know. then there's numbers to back it up.
Robin Gosens today
is going to Union Berlin.
He found a new club today.
Yeah, him and Brendan Aronson. There's a lot of teams that look good on paper. Union Berlin, RB Leipzig, not just good on paper, just beat Bayern 3-0.
They look ready to go,
and they looked ready to go. Dortmund, we'll see about Dortmund. I mean, I don't know. Leverkusen, year 2 of Xabi Alonso. Patrick Schick thinks he's going to be the striker that he used to be, and Florian Wirtz had a weird season last year, and they think they're going to be better But this is the time of year where hope springs eternal. Gosens to Union, I think, is great. I think that's a really good signing for them. I think Brendan Aronson is a good signing for them too.
He was criticized already by the coach. Now this is a fun thing.
Tell me about this.
This is a Germany versus American thing, in my opinion. Brendan Aronson. What was the criticism? I should Google it up. The coach, one of the trainers of Brendan Aronson, said something about his speed, or his size, or his work ethic, or something like that. He gave a warning to Brendan Aronson in preseason. Let me see exactly what it was. Vamp for me for a second.
Yeah, I was picking. I had to pick a fantasy team. My brother does this like kicker fantasy game, and he asks my for my contribution, and so I just picked that today, and I was wondering about Brennan Aronson. In the end, I did not put him on. The kicker interactive game is very German.
How so?
In that the budget is way.
It's about
tight.
scouting.
It's
about
very
scouting.
tight. The budget's very tight. You're supposed to draft 15 players. I think, or no, even more. Like I think, like maybe even 18. You have to have an 18, but the budget is so small that in reality you have to have a bunch of bench warmers to have any kind of starting 11 that's any good. You have to have a bunch of bench warmers that are never going to play. You have to have the cheapest ones. So it's like, and then you don't get to make a lot of changes. The only time you get to swap players out is and there's no transfers until one time in the winter break. And this is the interactive version. The classic version, you just pick once for the whole season. This is like, so yeah.
You're not selling it. You're not selling. So
I'm not. I don't think.
Playing the kicker.
I think it's Bobo. I don't enjoy it. I'm just asked. My brother asks me to.
You prefer the Prem
to get into it.
Fantasy thing.
The Prem,
do you do MLS fantasy?
I don't anymore. MLS I gave up on because I don't know if that's still the case. MLS fantasy used to allow unlimited transfers, which meant that basically you had to constantly pick. You had to constantly check lineups,
right? Because you can't predict MLS at all.
And no, I did actually quite well in MLS fantasy, but it just took up a lot of time because you have to always check who's starting, and if your guy's not starting, you have to transfer him out, and like so it was just, especially when the schedules were so spread out, it just took up a lot of time. Or then you would get, if I wasn't paying attention, then you get upset if your guy isn't playing. So I just gave up. I gave up on fantasy.
It's hard for me to play fantasy because you have to be on top of it, and I'm
the Premier League.
Forget it.
The Premier League is more my speed. Although I don't do as well because I don't really pay that much attention to it. So I have other friends who. We had our draft last week for the fantasy draft league that I'm in, and once you get to round like 11 or 12, I'm like, who are these people? Like I don't know the rosters that deeply. So
yeah,
but that's like sort of 5 to 10 minutes a week of effort. So that's good. I can handle.
Yeah, you got the spare. Okay, Union Berlin managing director of sport, Oliver Runert, has told Kicker magazine of Aronson he still has to work on his physicality, is what he said.
Well,
so he criticized his little stature and his physicality. Now,
that's what they said.
Hubbub on the U.S. soccer Reddits.
That's what they said. That's what they said in Leeds as well. I mean, if that's the problem, that why
fixable.
Get him? Why get him then? He is who he's not getting taller.
But my thing is this is a Germany versus America thing, right? In Germany, you just offer, like, he was asked a question and he answered it with facts. He had no interest in insulting anybody. He had no interest in putting someone up. You know what I mean? Like, Germans just offer facts. If you ask them a question, they'll offer you facts.
You gave an answer, yeah.
To me, that's what this is, which is, again, I could be wrong. I wasn't there, but it could be a very simple German guy being a German. Be like, Brennan Aronson, yes, he's working.
Yeah, he's doing fine. Whatever, he's doing fine. This is what we want for him to improve.
Because Germans are always ready to offer criticism and improvement on anything. That's just what they're like. And I think for Americans, that can be a little bit of a culture shock because Americans are like, "Well, it's physical," and then they get defensive about it. And it's like, you don't need to be defensive about it. He needs to work on his physical. Like you said, it's just, he's a little guy. His little brother's even littler. So he needs to figure that out. He needs to muscle off the bigger dudes. I don't know. But at Union Berlin, in a club like this, where you go on loan, you don't get the big stars. It's Bundesliga. Bundesliga is the budget by renovation, refurbishment, soccer capital of the world. I mean, so they're like, Aronson down to the championship. We'll take him. We have software that sees value in him, So he's not a perfect player. So if he wants to work on his physicality, amen, brother. Let's hope he does it. Let's hope he takes the note well. Let's hope he gets in there. Because although many Americans have been involved with Bundesliga clubs over the years, like a key player, American key player, are actually few and far between. I've talked about this before. And it'd be nice for an American to be a week in, week out key player for their club. We got two at Union Berlin. We got Pefok, remember him? And we got Brendan Aronson. Hoffenheim. We invoked Hoffenheim. David Riccio brought up Hoffenheim. Hoffenheim played against VfB Lübeck from my neck of the woods.
Mm-hmm.
I was toying with the idea of going to a VfB Lübeck game in the German third division, which has become a thing. Because back in the day, Lübeck, oddly a town that a lot of American tourists apparently don't go to. I learned this recently in life. Growing up, I would always go to North Germany every year. To me, that's what Germany was Hamburg, Lübeck, Travemünde, which is like a north city, then up to the north coast. And I've learned recently that like Americans don't go there. Apparently, that's not a popular tourist destination for people outside of Germany. It's only like a intra-tourist destination, which is interesting to me. But Lübeck is a beautiful old Roman town. It's got 7 towers built in the Roman days, and they have the Lübecker Turm, which is the main Roman tower at the city gates. That my dad just built a wooden replica of, by the way. I'll share that photo maybe on the Twitter. Anyway, VfB Lübeck apparently is like a thing. Back in the day, people from Lübeck would go to HSV. Like, I heard that regional football in Germany is getting bigger. Like the smaller clubs are getting better followings, So for a club like VfB Lübeck, they used to be like, kind of like Heidenheim. They were like in the 10th division or whatever. But now they're in the third division. They got themselves a little stadium. The fans who used to go to HSV games back in the day are now supporting their local club instead. So, the rise of the smaller clubs. But VfB Lübeck lost 4-1 against our Hoffenheim in the Deutsches Pokal over the weekend. And Hoffenheim marches on. Let's see what kind of season they're going to have under Pellegrino Matarazzo.
Bochum are out of the cup already. We're going to be fully focused. We've decided to be fully focused on the Bundesliga.
That's true. I need to look at the Pokal scores. Who'd they lose against?
Arminia Bielefeld, Bundesliga 3.
Yeah. But Arminia Bielefeld was Bundesliga 1 not 2 seasons ago. They fell twice. Now. I know. Let's look at the other scores. Saarbrücken beating Karlsruhe was considered a huge upset. Yeah. And I'm like, is Karlsruhe really that much bigger of a club than Saarbrücken? I guess. Sandhausen beat Hannover. Gladbach beat Bersenbruck, so they did right. Schalke beat Eintracht Braunschweig 3-1. Red cards on each half. Stuttgart got through. Hertha got over Carl Zeiss Jena. Werder Bremen lost to Viktoria Köln. That's a big one.
They're also focusing on the Bayern game.
Game. Nuremberg through, Holstein Kiel through, Leverkusen through. Arminia did knock out Bochum in penalties. Fourth just over Heidenheim, 8-0. They're getting ready for the Bundesliga. Heidenheim won 8-0. Mainz beat Elversberg, a club that was once coached by an American. Unterhaching 2-0 over Augsburg. Another big one. Hamburg just getting over in Rot-Weiss Essen. Let's see any other big results that come out to my mind. Most of it getting through. Paderborn, Hansa, Union Berlin did get through over Astoria Waldorf, one of the fanciest hotel football teams I have ever seen. That is their name. They're called Astoria Waldorf. Not to be confused with Waldorf Astoria.
People trying to stay at the club constantly, making reservations.
FC 08 Homburg beat Darmstadt 3-0. That's another upset. Köln beat VfL Osnabrück, and then we got Bayern versus Preußen Münster and Leipzig versus Wien Wiesbaden coming up in late September, I guess. I guess is replaced in a little bit later, the next rounds of September. So some upsets, but the DFB Pokal kicked off this past weekend, and a couple of minnows got their due. The Giant Killer. Just like the US Open Cup.
The big games this weekend. Bundesliga starts this weekend. Werder Bremen, Bayern München, Friday. Then we have, I guess the big one is Leverkusen Leipzig, the Verfolger duel. Two teams that are kind of perhaps challengers. I don't know. I like I said, I'll believe it when I see it. And Dortmund gets to play Köln at home.
From Wolfsburg versus Heidenheim. We can see Heidenheim in action. They're new to the Bundesliga. Hoffenheim Freiburg. It's going to be pretty tight. Augsburg Gladbach. Always curious about Gladbach. They're such a wild card. We'll see how Gladbach does this year. Bochum's heading down to Stuttgart.
I think Stuttgart might be, I mean, not like good, but I think Nübel, their new goalie, is going to be good. I picked him for the fantasy team, and I don't know. I think
he has a point to prove.
Yeah,
because Bayern München treated him like they bought him for $1 million and never touched him with a 10-foot pole for some reason. And they need, for instance, they need a new goalkeeper right now, but Nübel was not an option.
Well, he didn't want to come back because he wanted to be a starter somewhere permanently. He didn't want to. Have to then make room for Neuer.
He would have probably played 3/4 of the season. The news is Neuer can't kick a ball right now. He's like not.
So he's not
far off.
He's not coming back for 3/4 of the season.
I mean, I maybe have. I don't know, but all I know is there's a report that his recovery is much slower than expected, he can't even kick a ball without massive pain right now.
Well, he's no spring chicken. I mean, is he?
True, that's what I'm saying.
Is this it for him? Is there any?
That's what we thought last year. So if I'm Alexander Nübel, I'm like, I'm going to get some time, at least till Christmas time, right? At least till winter time, and then I can loan off then. I don't know.
Well, but things got tense with them last time, right? Because he didn't want to come back from Monaco when Neuer got hurt, so things seem to have soured a little bit between him and Bayern.
He had a problem with that goalkeeper coach that was fired, right? Isn't that what happened? But the guy was fired, so
he was fired, but he never called. I don't know. He never called him. I don't know. You know, it's like
the Bayern soap opera.
Like they're all like children. These people.
And then the last two Sunday games, we got Union Berlin hosting Mainz. It'll be fun to see if Mainz is still crushing it this year. They had a great season last year. Let's see if that can continue. And then Frankfurt hosting Darmstadt to end it out. Frankfurt without Oliver Glasner, who finds himself without a club. Eintracht Frankfurt with their new coach. What's his face? Topmüller. Dino Topmüller. Klaus Topmüller's nephew. Dino, Dinosaur Topmüller. And there you go. We got the big opening weekend this weekend. We are working on having a fun little guest who can do a deep dive into a couple of these clubs. Maybe he'll be on next week, maybe the week after. Stay tuned. We will make an announcement.
To be continued. To be revealed.
Okay. Do you have any sort of last thoughts about the Bundesliga season? I'm looking forward.
I think I gave my prognosis. I'm worried about Bochum. Always worried about Bochum. And this is the paradoxical thing about Bochum. I'm always worried about Bochum, and when there's reason for optimism, like there is this season, I worry even more because anytime you get any kind of hope, you're going to get crushed. So I worry about my team.
So
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. What I am going to do this season is I'm going to watch more Bundesliga. I'm going to be more engaged. I have decided to watch more of the league than I did last year, and so I'll let you know how that goes.
Well, we should, right? This is a Bundesliga. Should watch it. Here's a question for you. I definitely will watch Bundesliga, of course. I love watching the. I love it. I was going to say I love watching the Sportschau review of it. I think they do a really good job. Well,
I was like last season. I was a little down on the whole thing. Even from the beginning, I was just great. Like, in the end, they did. I had no belief the whole time. I'm just gonna. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I watched a fair amount. It's not so much about quantity, I guess. I'm gonna amend. I'm just gonna have a better attitude about the Bundesliga this season. That's what I'm really saying.
Let's hope ESPN broadcasts the games in full. It's not like we'll get
they're not
half or whatever.
The intern doesn't wait till halftime to push the button.
Yeah, it's like, well, it started the 35th minute. You guys are fine. You didn't miss much. Don't worry about it.
I was supposed to do the thing, right?
Okay, which Trying to think if there are Americans to Bundesliga this summer. There was, I think, who was it? One or two? There was. Cade Cowell is going to Italy, and then there's another player. Is it Jesus Ferreira? I think Jesus Ferreira might be. I know he's linked to Cadiz. But I'm trying to think if there's another player that's linked to a Bundesliga club. I could be wrong. But anyway, which American is going to be the most important figure in the Bundesliga this year, do you think? Let's just guess that.
Which American is going to be the most important? I mean, nobody's going to be particularly important. I think I'm gonna say Brendan Aronson.
Brendan Aronson gets the Steve Cherundolo Award. Let's call it. Who gets the Steve Cherundolo Award as the most effective American in the German top flight?
I mean, unless John Brooks can really put it together, but I don't know if his race is run or not. I guess he's the other.
He finished strong under Hoffenheim last year.
He's the other contender. I mean, he's sort of probably the safer pick, I guess, if you had to. If you're just thinking about minutes played or whatever, I think he'll play more minutes than anyone, probably.
I agree to that.
But is he you kind of, with John Brooks these days, you get what you get and you don't get upset, right? Like with the other
he finished strong last
really both of the Aronsons and Giorena, I guess, too, have a higher ceiling than John Brooks, but their floor is also much lower.
Well, they're also much younger.
For Giorena, it's a little bit like shit or get off the pot time, right? Like he's had some injuries. He hasn't gotten that much time. He's certainly not a starter for them, and also not the first choice off the bench in last season. So we'll see if it doesn't happen for him this year, then he probably has to think about going someplace else.
Club. Yeah, I agree. Let's hope he stays healthy. Let's hope he plays his heart out. Let's hope.
Let's just hope everybody has fun, right?
Let's hope everyone has a good time, huh? We already know who's winning it, so don't worry about that.
Yeah, exactly. We know how it's going to end. So in the meantime, let's just all have a good time and talk about it a lot.
All right, let's hope Bochum survives.
Oh, yes.
Let's see if Dortmund can mount a challenge. Maybe RB Leipzig. Maybe it's their time to shine. We'll see. We got the new season of Bundesliga coming up. Tschüss.
Tschüss.
Bis nächste Woche.
Mach's gut.